The stars outside the warship were cold and endless. Alien Commander Xar'thok stood in the center of his command deck, hands behind his back, staring at the swirling blue planet in the distance. His eyes, a deep shade of gold, narrowed. Earth. He had heard about this world from other species. Some spoke of it with laughter, calling it primitive. Others spoke in low voices, as if even mentioning the name could bring trouble. Xar'thok had fought in 37 wars. He had crushed fleets, burned colonies, and taken worlds. Yet something about Earth was unsettling. He had never been here before, but now they had invited him, not through secret channels, not with diplomatic caution. The message had been sent openly, in clear and simple words. To Commander Xar'thok of the Vrylin Dominion, we invite you to visit Earth's military academy. You will see why humanity is not to be underestimated. No threats, no demands, just that his officers had been shocked. Captain Vreth, his second in command, had even slammed his clawed hand against the table. It is a trap, Commander, Vreth had said. No species invites a warlord to their home without reason. They want you dead. Perhaps, Xar'thok had replied. Or perhaps they want me to fear them. Now, as the planet grew larger on the display, he still wasn't sure which. Answer was true. Arrival at Earth. The Vrylin warship descended through the upper atmosphere, its shadow cutting across the clouds. Xar'thok expected a fleet of human ships to rise in defense. He expected to see orbital weapons tracking his position, but nothing happened. No fighter craft intercepted them. No warning messages filled the airwaves. Earth skies were calm. They're not afraid, Vreth muttered. Or they're fools. They are not fools, Xar'thok said quietly. The warship landed on a wide landing pad outside a city. Tall glass towers rose in the distance, glimmering in the sunlight. Human flags flapped gently in the wind. And waiting at the edge of the pad was a group of humans, not soldiers in heavy armor, not officials in ceremonial robes, but young men and women in simple uniforms. Cadets. They stood in perfect rows, their faces calm, their eyes unblinking. None of them moved. None of them smiled. They send children to greet you? Vreth said in disbelief. They send warriors in training. Xar'thok replied. The greeting. A tall human stepped forward from the formation. He wore the same uniform as the cadets, but had a small silver badge on his chest. His voice was calm. When he spoke, Commander Xar'thok. Welcome to Earth. I am Instructor Holly. Xar'thok studied him. The human's posture was straight, his gaze direct. No fear. No arrogance, just certainty. You are not armed, Xar'thok said. We do not need weapons to welcome a guest, Holly replied. And if you were not a guest, weapons would not help us. The alien commander's golden eyes narrowed. You believe you could stop me without them? Holly simply smiled. You were invited here to see why wars with us never end well. If you doubt us, keep watching. The walk to the academy. The cadets formed two lines, creating a path. Holly walked ahead, with Xar'thok and Vreth following. The path led to a massive building of steel and concrete. Its walls were marked with the symbol of Earth's military, a simple circle with a star at the center. As they walked, Xar'thok noticed the cadets' eyes following him. They did not flinch. They did not bow. They simply observed him. Your cadets look at me as if they are studying prey, Xar'thok said. They are studying an opponent, Holly replied. They want to understand you, Vreth snorted. They are untested. They would not survive one day in our training camps. Holly glanced back. Our training camps are not for survival. They are for winning. The steel door inside the academy. The air smelled faintly of oil and metal. Echoes of movement and impact came from somewhere deep within. Holly led them down a wide hallway until they reached a massive steel door. It was reinforced with deep scratches and dents across its surface. From behind it came the sound of shouting. Short, sharp commands. Then came the thud of fists against something heavy, and a scream. "What is this?" Xar'thok asked. Hale placed his hand on the door. "This is the first thing you will see, but once you see it, you may wish you hadn't." Without waiting for a response, Hale pressed a code into a panel. With a deep groan, the steel door began to slide open. Inside the hall, the smell hit them first: sweat, dust, and blood. The hall beyond was vast, its floor covered in thick mats. Dozens of human cadets were fighting machines twice their size. The machines were built like armored beasts, with steel arms and heavy plating. But the humans were winning. One cadet ducked under a massive swing and drove his fist into the machine's chest. Sparks burst out, and the machine staggered before collapsing. Another cadet climbed onto a machine's back, wrapped her arms around its head, and twisted until the neck snapped with a metallic crack. The fights were fast, brutal, and real. Bones broke, blood sprayed. But none of the humans stopped. "These are your first-year cadets?" Xar'thok asked in disbelief. "Yes," Hale said. "And this is only their basic combat trial." Beyond safety, Xar'thok watched as a cadet fell, clutching a broken arm. Instead of stopping the fight, an instructor yelled at him to get up. The cadet gritted his teeth, stood, and charged again. "In our forces," Xar'thok said, "that cadet would be removed and treated." "In ours," Hale replied, "he will learn to fight with one arm. Because in real war, no one stops the battle for you." Xar'thok felt something strange, a flicker of respect. He had seen elite alien warriors break under less pain. Yet these humans kept moving. Questions and answers. "Why do you push them so far?" Xar'thok asked. Hale's eyes did not leave the fighting. "Because the galaxy is cruel. One day, these cadets will face something worse than these machines. We prepare them now, so they are ready then." "And what is worse than these machines?" Hale finally looked at him. "You." The growing unease for the first time in many years, Xar'thok felt a faint unease in his chest. These cadets were young, unarmored, and unarmed, yet they fought with a will he had not seen in decades. He had come expecting to find weakness. Instead, he found something dangerous. The alarm. Suddenly, a deep, blaring alarm filled the hall. The machine stopped moving. The cadets froze. Every head turned toward a red light flashing above the far door. Hale's expression did not change. "It's time," the instructor said. "For what?" Xar'thok asked. "The live simulation," Hale replied. "And you're part of it." The cadets turned as one to face him. Their eyes were sharp, their breathing steady. For a moment, Xar'thok felt like prey, and then the steel doors at the far end began to open. The steel doors groaned as they opened, the sound echoing through the training hall. The cadets stood perfectly still, their eyes locked forward. The red alarm lights cast strange shadows on their faces, making them look older than they were. Xar'thok. Golden eyes narrowed. He had faced enemies in hundreds of battlefields, but the atmosphere in this hall felt different. It wasn't just readiness. It was hunger. The alien commander's second-in-command, Xar'thok, stepped closer and muttered in their own language. "Commander, this feels wrong. They are looking at us as if we are the test." "Perhaps we are," Xar'thok replied quietly. The arrival of the instructors. From beyond the opening doors came the sound of boots hitting metal, steady, controlled. A group of instructors walked in, each wearing the same gray uniform as Instructor Hale, but with black armbands. They carried no visible weapons, yet their presence made the air heavier. One of them, a woman with short hair and cold eyes, raised her voice. "Simulation begins in 2 minutes. All cadets, combat readiness." The cadets moved instantly, breaking into groups of 4 and rushing to grab gear from a wall rack. But it wasn't armor or heavy weapons. It was simple, training rifles. Small combat knives and communication earpieces. Xar'thok frowned. These weapons are weak. Against a real enemy, they would fail. Holly, standing beside him, shook his head. They're not here to rely on weapons. They're here to rely on themselves. A strange invitation. The short-haired instructor walked directly toward Xar'thok and stopped in front of him. Her eyes studied him like he was just another part of the simulation. "Commander Xar'thok," she said, her voice clipped and precise. "You will be the enemy commander for this exercise." Vreth immediately stepped forward. "He is not here to play human games." "Quiet," Xar'thok said, raising a hand. His eyes locked with the instructor's. "You want me to lead your enemy forces?" "Yes," she replied. "You will command a team of our autonomous combat drones. They will follow your orders exactly. The cadets will be tasked with defeating you." Xar'thok's lip curled in amusement. "And what will I gain from this? You will understand why we are feared." The battlefield hail led Xar'thok to a raised platform at the side of the hall. The floor below began to shift, large steel panels moving and locking into place. In less than a minute, the flat training area transformed into a sprawling battlefield, broken walls, burnt-out vehicles, smoke rising from hidden vents. Xar'thok was impressed despite himself. This was no simple training ground. It looked like the aftermath of a real city battle. "You have full control of the drones," Holly said, pointing to a console. "They are armed with non-lethal rounds, but they will fight with the same speed and tactics they would in real war. And these cadets will face them with only those weak weapons?" Xar'thok asked. "They will face them with their minds," Holly replied simply. The simulation begins. A loud buzzer rang out. Xar'thok's drones rolled out from hidden compartments. 30 units in total, each shaped like a small tank with mounted turrets and advanced targeting sensors. They moved into formation, their mechanical legs clanking on the metal floor. From the opposite side of the battlefield, the cadets spread out, using the wreckage for cover. "Begin," the short-haired instructor ordered. Xar'thok's eyes gleamed. "Drones, advance in staggered lines, suppress with covering fire." The machines obeyed instantly, moving with precision. Gunfire echoed through the hall as the drones poured simulated rounds into the cadets' positions. Sparks flew from the walls. For the first 30 seconds, it looked like the cadets were pinned down. Then they vanished. Unexpected tactics. Xar'thok blinked. One moment, the cadets were taking cover. The next, they were gone from sight. His drones scanned the area, but there were no visible targets. Where did they go? Vreth demanded. Holly gave a small smile. "They've learned not to fight the enemy's battle. They fight their own." Suddenly, a drone at the far right flank exploded in a shower of sparks. Another drone toppled over, its legs tangled in a tripwire. Xar'thok's golden eyes narrowed. "They're using the terrain." He adjusted his tactics, ordering the drones to sweep in smaller units to avoid ambushes. But each time they closed in on a cadet group, the humans slipped away, leaving traps behind. Turning the tables 5 minutes into the simulation, the battlefield had changed. Xar'thok had started with 30 drones. Now only 16 remained. Operational. The cadets hadn't faced them head-on. They had broken them apart, striking from the shadows and then disappearing. Xar'thok found himself leaning forward over the console, analyzing every move. The cadets' formations were unpredictable, their timing precise. "They think like prey," Vreth muttered. "No," Xar'thok said slowly. "They think like predators pretending to be prey." Close combat. One drone managed to corner a cadet, pinning them behind a wall. The machine's turret locked on and prepared to fire. Before it could, another cadet appeared from above, leaping down from a collapsed walkway. In one swift motion, she jammed her training knife into the drone's sensor cluster, blinding it. The first cadet then slid underneath and severed the machine's power cable. The entire attack took less than 5 seconds. Xar'thok felt a surge of respect. These were not ordinary soldiers. The final push with only 10 drones left, Xar'thok decided to change tactics. All units converge and push directly through the center. Force them into a final stand. The drones obeyed, forming a heavy spearhead. The cadets fell back toward the center of the battlefield. It looked like they were running out of options, but as the drones charged, a series of timed charges detonated in the ground beneath them. The blast didn't destroy the machines, but flipped them onto their sides, exposing their weaker undercarriages. The cadets swarmed in, disabling them one by one. 3 minutes later, every drone was down. The ending of the simulation. The buzzer rang again, signaling the end. The cadets gathered in formation, barely out of breath. Xar'thok stepped down from the command platform. He walked past the rows of humans, studying their faces. Not one of them looked proud or relieved. They looked ready for more. "You fight without hesitation," Xar'thok said to one of the cadets. The young man met his gaze. "Hesitation kills." The lesson. Hale walked beside Xar'thok as they left the battlefield. "Now you understand why we train this way." Xar'thok nodded slowly. "Yes, you train them to fight enemies stronger than themselves. We train them to win against enemies who think they are stronger." Hale corrected, the cliffhanger as they stepped into the hallway. A deep rumble shook the floor. A voice came over the loudspeakers. "All cadets and visitors, report to the lower levels. Level 7 simulation is commencing." Hale glanced at Xar'thok. "You've seen the first level of training. Now it's time you see what's hidden beneath." The doors to the underground levels opened, releasing a wave of cold air. Somewhere below, metal clashed against metal, and something let out a roar that did not sound human. The elevator doors opened with a slow metallic hiss. A rush of cold air, Xar'thok's face. The underground levels smelled different, not of sweat and oil like the training hall above, but of steel, dust, and something faintly sharp. Like ozone after a lightning strike, the lights were dim, running in narrow strips along the ceiling. Shadows stretched across the walls as the group stepped out. Instructor Hale walked ahead, his boots clicking against the floor. "This is level 7, Hale said without looking back. "Few outsiders have ever seen it." Vreth's claws flexed nervously. "And why bring us here? What is this simulation?" Hale glanced at him with a small smile. "You'll see." The preparation room. They entered a wide chamber filled with equipment racks. But unlike the simple training weapons upstairs, here the weapons looked advanced. Heavier rifles, reinforced armor plates, portable shield emitters. Dozens of cadets were already there, strapping on gear. Their faces were serious, their movements quick but controlled. Xar'thok noted something unusual. The cadets didn't speak to each other. There were no nervous jokes, no small talk. Just silent focus. Hale stopped beside a large steel door at the far end of the room. "The scenario is simple," he said. "You will lead a small team into the simulation zone. The cadets will try to complete their objective before you stop them." Xar'thok's golden eyes narrowed. "And what is their objective?" "To survive." Entering the simulation zone, the steel door groaned open, revealing darkness beyond. The only sound was the faint hum of machinery. As Xar'thok stepped through, his boots landed on cracked stone. The simulation zone was massive, a full-sized recreation of a ruined city. Towers leaned at broken angles, smoke drifted through the streets, and the distant echo of something moving in the shadows reached his ears. "This is impressive," Xar'thok admitted. Hale's voice came through a hidden speaker. "The simulation has begun. Good luck." The first encounter. Xar'thok moved cautiously through the streets, Vreth at his side. The drones from the earlier exercise had been efficient, but here there were no machines under his command. Only himself and the natural dangers of the battlefield. A faint crunch made him stop. He turned sharply, but saw nothing, then movement. A cadet darted between two ruined walls, vanishing into an alley. "Flank them," Xar'thok ordered. Vreth obeyed, moving into the alley. But within seconds, there was a sharp sound, the crack of a rifle. Vreth stumbled back, his shoulder marked with a bright paint round. In a real battle, it would have been a kill shot. "They are baiting us," Xar'thok muttered. The cadet's strategy: the humans didn't fight in one large group. Instead, they moved in small scattered units. Each group struck from different angles, disappearing before they could be pinned down. Xar'thok tried to anticipate their movements, but they were unpredictable, sometimes aggressive, sometimes cautious, always changing. One cadet slid down from a rooftop, tossing a smoke grenade that filled the street. Through the haze, Xar'thok caught a glimpse of two others sprinting past, carrying what looked like a heavy case. They're moving toward something. Xar'thok realized. Chasing the objective. He pursued them through narrow alleys, the broken walls forcing him to slow down. The cadets moved like water, flowing through gaps and openings that were too small for most armored soldiers. Every few steps, they left traps, tripwires, collapsing debris, false trails. Xar'thok dismantled most of them easily, but each one cost precious seconds. Finally, he reached an open square at the center of the city. In the middle stood a tall structure that looked like a communications tower. The cadets were climbing it. The tower. "Fight!" Xar'thok sprinted forward. A cadet spotted him and raised their rifle, but he knocked it aside and sent the young human sprawling. Another swung down from the tower's ladder to intercept him, striking with surprising force. The cadets' movements were sharp, efficient, and without hesitation. Even when Xar'thok overpowered them, they fought until the very last moment, before being marked out by the simulation sensors at the top of the tower. One cadet planted the heavy case against the main console. A red light began to blink, a simulated detonation charge. Objective complete. Hale's voice echoed through the air. The second phase, but instead of ending, the simulation shifted. The ground shook violently, and a deep roar rolled through the air. Xar'thok froze. "That sound. It was not mechanical. What is that?" Vreth demanded. Hale's voice came again, calm and steady. "Level 7 includes live combat against a controlled hostile. Consider this the second phase." From the far street, something massive emerged, a creature taller than a tank, covered in plated armor, its mouth lined with jagged teeth. Its eyes glowed a faint red in the dim light. "Your job now," Hale continued, "is to survive until extraction." The beast in the streets, the creature moved with terrifying speed for its size, smashing through walls as it charged. The cadets scattered, using the ruined buildings as cover. Xar'thok had faced beasts in alien jungles before, but this one was different. Its movements were strategic, almost intelligent. A cadet dashed past him, shouting, "Don't engage it head on," before disappearing into an alley. The beast's head snapped toward Xar'thok and it lunged. He rolled aside, the ground shaking as claws tore into the street where he had stood. Cadets. Coordination. What surprised Xar'thok most was that the cadets didn't try to kill the beast directly. Instead, they coordinated to slow it down, blocking streets, creating obstacles, forcing it into narrow spaces where it couldn't move freely. One cadet slid under its legs, attaching a device to its underside. The device emitted a high-pitched whine, causing the beast to rear back in confusion. "They fight it like they fought us," Xar'thok realized. "Not with strength, with control." The near miss. The beast cornered two cadets against a collapsed wall. Xar'thok, without thinking, charged in, slamming his shoulder into the creature's side. It stumbled, giving the cadets just enough time to escape. One of them glanced back at him, eyes wide. "Thanks." The word caught Xar'thok off guard. It had been a long time since anyone had thanked him in battle. Extraction. A loud horn sounded. Over the city, Hale's voice followed. "Simulation complete. All participants, return to base." The beast stopped mid-charge, lowering its head as a control collar around its neck pulsed with light. It turned and walked back into the shadows. Xar'thok. Breathing was steady, but his mind was not. He had fought against the cadets, then alongside them, and in both situations, they had shown skill beyond their years. The realization back in the preparation room, Holly met him with a calm expression. Now you've seen level 7, do you understand? Xar'thok looked at the cadets, bruised, scratched, but standing tall. Yes, he said slowly. You train not just for war, but for anything, Holly nodded. That's why we survive. The cliffhanger as they prepared to return to the upper levels, another instructor approached Holly and whispered something. Hale's face grew more serious. He turned to Xar'thok. There's one more thing you need to see. It's not part of the simulation. It's classified. What is it? Xar'thok asked. Holly started walking toward a secure elevator at the far end of the hall. You'll understand when you meet him. The doors closed behind them, descending deeper underground than before. The air grew colder. When the elevator stopped, they stepped out into darkness. A single metal door stood ahead, marked with bold letters. Authorized personnel only. From inside came the faint sound of breathing, slow, steady, and not entirely human. The cold air inside the elevator pressed against Xar'thok's skin. The hum of the engine grew quieter, the soft vibrations fading. Around him, the walls glowed faintly with blue light strips, casting long shadows on the faces of the humans who accompanied him. Instructor Hale's eyes were steady, his face unreadable. Xar'thok felt a strange mix of curiosity and unease. This was not like any military base he had ever seen. The elevator came to a slow stop, and the doors slid open with a hiss. Darkness waited beyond the threshold, thick and silent. Stay close, Holly said softly. What you're about to see is not meant for outsiders. Entering the unknown, Xar'thok stepped forward cautiously. His golden eyes adjusted to the dim light. The corridor was narrow, with smooth metal walls and a low ceiling. The air was colder here, biting, almost sterile. Holly led the way down the hall. After a few minutes, they reached a large door reinforced with heavy metal plates. A red light blinked above it. This is the chamber, Holly said. Inside is a human soldier unlike any you have met before. Xar'thok's heart beat faster, though he tried to hide it. He had fought many enemies, but something about this moment felt different. The door opens. With a hiss, the door slid open, revealing a dark room. At its center sat a figure on a metal chair, hands resting calmly on the arms. The figure was a man, but not like the cadets Xar'thok had seen before. His skin was pale, almost glowing under the weak light. His eyes were closed, but as Xar'thok stepped closer, they snapped open, bright, glowing blue. The man's gaze locked onto Xar'thok. A chill ran through the alien commander's spine. The human weapon. This is Lieutenant Eric. Hale's voice was low but firm. He graduated from the academy years ago. He fought in the last war against the Xel'thok invasion, alone. Xar'thok stared at Eric. The man looked calm, but there was power beneath the surface. A presence that filled the room. Eric's voice broke the silence. It was calm but deep. You are the alien commander who came to see our academy. Xar'thok nodded. I am. Then you will understand why the galaxy fears humanity. The story unfolds. Eric's eyes glowed softly as he spoke. When the Xel'thok attacked, they wiped out entire fleets. No one thought a single human could survive, let alone fight back. Holly added, Eric was sent on a mission that no one else could complete. He faced the Xel'thok alone for weeks. He destroyed their weapons, saved colonies, and returned without backup. Xar'thok listened, fascinated. How did he do it? Eric's gaze sharpened. Because I refuse to die. Because humanity fights with more than weapons. We fight with will. A display of power. Suddenly, the room shifted. Eric stood, muscles tensing. The dim light grew brighter, revealing marks on his arms, strange symbols glowing faintly. He lifted a hand, and the air around it shimmered. With a small motion, he sent a pulse of energy that shattered a metal plate on the wall. Xar'thok stepped back. "What is this?" "Advanced technology," Holly said. "But more than that. It's the power of a human survivor." The hidden training Hale explained how the Academy trained soldiers not only in combat, but in controlling their own biology. Humans could push their bodies beyond normal limits, healing faster, enduring pain, and reacting with lightning speed. Had undergone the toughest trials, enhancing himself with technology and training that went beyond normal human limits. "You are not just soldiers," Holly said. "You are weapons." The challenge Eric stepped forward, eyes locked on Xar'thok. "You came here thinking humans are weak. Now you see that as a mistake." Xar'thok felt something new: fear. Not the fear of defeat, but the fear of the unknown. "You will tell your people this," Eric said. "Because next time there may be no second chance." Xar'thok's reflection. After the meeting, Xar'thok stood alone, staring out at the empty hall. The image of Eric's glowing eyes haunted him. He realized Earth was not just a planet with soldiers. It was a planet with survivors, warriors, who had transformed themselves into something more. The cliffhanger. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the base. Red lights flashed. Hale's voice came over the speakers. "Intruder alert. Unauthorized access in Sector 9. Xar'thok's mind raced. What new secret was Earth hiding? The alarm echoed loudly through the halls of Earth's military academy. Red lights flashed everywhere, casting sharp shadows on the steel walls. Xar'thok's eyes scanned the room, alert and sharp. His heart raced not from fear, but from the sudden rush of adrenaline. "What is happening?" Xar'thok asked, his voice calm but filled with urgency. Instructor Hale's face was serious. "An intruder has broken into Sector 9. That area holds our most classified secrets." Xar'thok growled softly. "We must act quickly. This may be a trap." The intruder, without hesitation, Holly led Xar'thok and Xar'thok down a narrow corridor. The sounds of heavy footsteps and distant shouts echoed ahead. They rounded a corner and saw a figure running away. The intruder was a human, but different. His movements were quick, almost too fast to follow. His face was hidden beneath a dark hood, but his eyes shone with determination. "Stop!" Holly shouted. "You are not authorized here." The figure did not slow down. Instead, he pushed through a metal door that slammed behind him. Sector 9. Xar'thok and Holly exchanged a quick glance before rushing after the intruder. Sector 9 was deep underground, a labyrinth of corridors and rooms filled with advanced technology. "This is where we keep our most powerful weapons," Holly said as they ran. "And our greatest secrets." The intruder moved with confidence, clearly knowing where he was going. Xar'thok's instincts told him this was no ordinary trespasser. The chase. The hallways grew narrower and darker. Xar'thok's sharp eyes caught glimpses of the intruder's path: security, cameras and automated defenses activating in response to the breach. Xar'thok growled. "He's activating our defenses against us." Xar'thok nodded. "He's a trained soldier or better." They turned a corner and found the intruder trying to access a locked door. Xar'thok stepped forward and raised his hand. "Stop! You do not want to fight us." The intruder slowly turned. The hood fell back, revealing a young man, tired but fierce. His eyes glowed faintly blue, just like Lieutenant Eric's. "A new warrior. I am Kale," the young man said firmly. "I'm here to protect Earth." Xar'thok studied him carefully. This was no enemy. This was another human, but one who carried the same strange power as Eric. Kale's voice grew serious. "The Academy is under attack. Not from outside, but from within." Holly frowned. "What do you mean?" Kale glanced around, lowering his voice. There is a faction that wants to use our weapons for war. They will risk everything to start a galaxy-wide conflict. The warning Kale stepped closer to Xar'thok. You came here to see our strength. But strength alone is not enough. You must understand what drives us. Xar'thok nodded slowly. I am listening. Kale's eyes flickered. Humanity fights because we have no choice. We have faced extinction many times, but we never gave up. We fight for survival, and for each other. The hidden power Kale moved to a console and activated a holomap of the galaxy. Points of light marked worlds under threat. We are preparing for a war that could destroy everything, Kale said. But our real weapon is not machines or weapons. It is our will, the power to keep fighting when all hope is lost. Xar'thok felt a deep respect growing. He had never seen a species so determined that the intruders. Mission Kale looked at Hale. We must stop the faction before they launch their attack. Hale nodded grimly. We need your help, Xar'thok. You have seen our strength. Now help us. Protect it. Xar'thok hesitated, but the truth was clear. Earth was not just a world of soldiers. It was a world fighting for its soul. The battle began suddenly. Alarms blared again. The faction's forces had launched an attack inside the base. Doors sealed shut, and automated turrets activated. Xar'thok drew his weapon, feeling the thrill of battle returning. He fought alongside Kale, Hale, and Vreth. The corridors filled with the sound of gunfire and explosions. Xar'thok realized that this fight was more than physical. It was a battle for the future. The turning point, despite being outnumbered, the defenders held their ground. Kale's enhanced reflexes and strength turned the tide. Xar'thok's tactical mind coordinated their counterattack. The faction's forces were pushed back step by step. But Xar'thok knew this was only the beginning, the final stand as the battle reached its peak. Xar'thok faced the faction's leader, a ruthless human. Wielding forbidden technology, the leader sneered. You alien dogs have no place here. Xar'thok met his gaze. You underestimate Earth and humanity's will to survive. They clashed fiercely, but Xar'thok's experience and Kale's support made the difference. Victory and resolve. The faction was defeated, but the cost was high. Xar'thok looked around at the damaged base and the tired faces of his new allies. He understood now that this war was not just about weapons or power. It was about hope, will, and the strength to keep fighting. The cliffhanger as Xar'thok prepared to leave Earth. Hale approached him quietly. There is one last secret, Hale said. A secret that even most humans do not know. Xar'thok. Eyes sharpened. Tell me. Hale smiled faintly. You will see soon enough. The quiet after the battle was heavy. Xar'thok stood on the observation deck of Earth's military academy, staring out at the glowing blue planet below. The stars beyond seemed calm, but inside him, a storm of thoughts raged. Instructor Hale approached quietly, his footsteps soft on the metal floor. You have seen much during your visit, he said. Xar'thok nodded. More than I expected. Your warriors, your people. They are unlike any I have faced. Hale smiled faintly. There is one last thing I want to show you. It is a memory one. That haunts us still. The memory room. They entered a dark chamber filled with glowing panels and strange machines. In the center was a large glass pod, inside which floated a shimmering image, a hologram of a battlefield long past. This is the memory room, Hale explained. Here, we relive our history so we never forget. Xar'thok watched as the hologram flickered to life. The Battle of Earthfall scene showed a planet burning. Cities crumbled beneath a rain of fire. Alien ships swarmed the sky. This was Earthfall, Hale said. The day when an alien armada tried to destroy humanity. Xar'thok's eyes widened. He had heard rumors of this battle, but now he saw it with his own eyes. The courage of the humans fighting against impossible odds. The human Spirit the hologram showed soldiers standing firm as bombs exploded around them. Civilians helping the wounded. Leaders inspiring hope amidst despair. Xar'thok felt something stir in his heart, a feeling he had long forgotten. Respect. Hale's voice echoed softly. They fought not because they wanted war, but because they would not lose their home. The price of survival. The memory shifted to a quiet moment after the battle. A small group of humans stood among ruins, their faces tired but determined. One of them was Lieutenant Eric, Hale said. He lost friends, family, and almost himself, but he kept fighting. Xar'thok looked at the hologram's Eric. The man's glowing blue eyes held a sadness mixed with strength. The warning Hale turned to Xar'thok. This memory haunts us because the threat is not over. The galaxy still watches, still waits. Then why invite me? Xar'thok asked. To show you that Earth is not weak. That humanity's strength is more than weapons. Xar'thok's decision for the first time. Xar'thok felt a deep connection to this world. He realized that the warlord he was did not understand what made humans special. I came to conquer, he said quietly. But I see now that I came to learn. Hale nodded. And now you carry that knowledge back to your people. The farewell as Xar'thok prepared to leave. Kale and Eric approached. Remember this, Kale said. Earth fights not just for itself, but for every species that seeks peace. Eric added, the galaxy is dangerous, but together we can survive. Xar'thok bowed his head in respect. The warship rose from Earth's surface, cutting through the atmosphere. Xar'thok looked back once more at the planet that had changed him. He knew that when he returned to the stars, he would carry a new understanding of will, hope, and the true strength of humanity. The final thought as the stars stretched before him, Xar'thok whispered to himself, the galaxy will never forget Earth, and neither will I. The end.